Hey guys, sorry to miss the presentations earlier this morning, but here now, ready to present, go over everything that I've done for my capstone. To begin with, I've got my schedule pulled up here. Well, first of all, I'll go over my overview. My capstone project was a geotechnical site analysis for finding out a foundation analysis for Seaside, Oregon, and developing a foundation through geotechnical concerns like earthquake, seismic concerns, and liquefaction. So this was my end of the term schedule, and I pretty much kept to it, pretty like right on. My calculations took a little bit longer. There was a lot of calculating. There was some learning that I had to go through with in regards to the liquefaction analysis. That was a lot of learning and finding out about that. But as far as my hours and how long it kept with my AutoCAD, my Revit model, I pretty much kept to it the entire time and felt really good that as I paced it out through the entire term, it really was 6 hours every week, do this, do that, and by the end, I pretty much had it all done. Was never really concerned about anything. So the start of the term was one of my first aspects was the GIS analysis. Uh, was creating I created two maps in GIS where I made layers, overlaid that in with Dogami, uh, with their layers, with their analysis. I made this liquefaction uh, analysis map, susceptibility. Right in here is where we are at, which is a level 4, which is quite high. And liquefaction is basically just when an earthquake happens, that the sand will liquefy, but it quite literally will liquefy. So building dense, heavy buildings on the coastline can be a concern as far as foundation and what kind of foundations you want to use. So that was the whole idea behind this report. Um, so further in, I went in here. This is the actual site pulled up in GIS that I drew this outline, made these features in GIS along Highway 101. That this is roughly the along the boundary of the actual site. Here, see if I can pull it up really quick. This is I did a actual site visit. This is the Highway 101 right here, and this is an actual for sale unit. Hypothetically making this in mind that a commercial building could be along here. There was other commercial sites along this path. There's a cinema right here. So this is very much a place where you could build something. So after I did my GIS analysis, I went into the soil analysis, and that was really figuring out what the soil at the different depths was to find out exactly the density, this type of soil, to figure out what kind of foundation would you. So I made up these hypothetical boring logs with soil descriptions, notes, moisture levels, all this stuff, so that I could get the calculations that I would need for this part, the foundation design. This was the part that took me a long time, was really going over the calculations of it all, my building footprint, all of this stuff, my bearing capacity, settlement analysis of the soil, consolidation of the soil, total settlement, This all tells me the foundation design that I can do, that it's essentially the soil's hypothetically not good enough for just a slab foundation, a shallow foundation, that you would need a pile. This is what this math in here is telling. And the required pile count, the different factors to account for that. This is the summary of having a final pile count, spacing of those piles. And so that was my next step of going into AutoCAD. And this is, unfortunately, I need a re-upload. I worked on a different outline or foundation, layout for this. So this is not the final. This was of my beginning. It's unfortunately on my zip drive. My Mac doesn't have a USB. Anyways, I'm going to have it uploaded on Monday. But this is just kind of a rough outline of the piles, the rough layout, the beams interacting, the connecting it all. And that's all based on the math that this is where we can go. This is the pile analysis, soil analysis, the soil profile based on those numbers that I created, based on depths, your groundwater level, the density, the type of soil, things like that. And then based off of that, I made a pile free body diagram showing the depths, the actual pile, and the forces acting on the pile. Of you have skin friction of the soil acting against the pile, the actual forces of the building coming down, and the in-bearing. So that was a big outline of my project. And then from there, I went ahead and made a pile analysis in Revit. And this is the building itself is just kind of a rough outline. It's just a placeholder kind of thing of really what I was trying to account for is the piles down here and the pile caps that I was really highlighting, that this is the kind of foundation analysis that you would need. And this is reaching down to 28 depths, 28 depth. And then I have another. This is another in Revit of the actual depth. So you're seeing here that the top of the bearing level, it's reaching the depth that it's hitting the dense, hard sand that will withstand collapse when liquefaction or an earthquake happens. That this is kind of meeting the requirements that this building will be safe in an earthquake. Was the whole principle, was the whole idea behind the project. So this is just highlighting that, showing a 3D representation of the depth, the different piles. My calculation of 58 piles. That's 58. I think it's 56 that I actually ended up with. But you have a whole analysis here with those. So overall, I feel pretty good about everything. It was a substantial amount of work, and getting it all done, getting stuff done in GIS, figuring that out, getting everything, remembering everything in AutoCAD. It had been a long time in AutoCAD, and then again doing everything in Revit. That my skills weren't the best in Revit, but I kind of powered through it and tried to work it out the best I could to represent it. And it was a lot of fun to get it, and I wanted to do it more. Overall, I would say for my reflection, that would be something I would want to concentrate more on, is the Revit. That there's so much that I could do there. There's so much power. Same with the GIS. I really felt that I was comfortable in making the maps and finding the data, compiling it, and making rasters, making layers, figuring things out, and compiling it to highlight the information. And I think that it's relevant for this kind of project. Um, Overall, I think that basically covers it. I feel really good about the project. I had a lot of fun doing this stuff. There was a little bit of frustrations with liquefaction and figuring out the overall. This analysis was pretty cumbersome, and yeah, getting that all together was quite a bit. But I felt like I learned a lot, so it was a really good time. Overall, uh, hope to continue using my GIS skills, the AutoCAD and the Revit. So hopefully this leads me to that path. And thanks so much. See you guys on Monday.